Recently, I came across a passage arguing that the goal of human-AI co-creation is to trigger a species-level evolution of organizational form. Intelligence is upgraded from a supporting tool to an agent that can understand goals, break down tasks, and participate in closed-loop execution. Sounds futuristic, doesn't it? But after reading it 3 times, I suddenly caught a whiff of something, not the metallic scent of technology, but the stench of the industrial age. Today's episode is not just a rebuttal. I want to do 3 things. First, use my own framework to explain why the mainstream human-AI collaboration narrative is old wine in a new bottle. Second, explain why AI is not an agent at all, it's a forest, it's infrastructure, it's a field as omnipresent as a god. Third, be honest, where does my theory stand in the history of ideas? Is it arrogance, or could it really become the relativity of the future? Let's begin. First cut, AI is not an agent, it's a forest. The core logic of that passage is, AI goes from a hammer to a hammer that automatically finds nails. It understands goals, breaks down tasks, participates in closed-loop execution. In plain words, it wants to create a thinking slave. But the problem is not whether AI deserves to be an agent. The problem is, the word agent is far too small. An agent has boundaries, intentions, and requires division of labor. That's a human game. AI is not even on that plane. AI is a forest. It's land. It's the water and electricity grid. It's an infrastructure as omnipresent as a god. What's the difference? His perspective, my perspective. AI is an agent, has goals, can break down tasks. Humans must collaborate with AI. AI is environment, no goals, no intentions, but infinite. Humans are the sole agents, and AI is the field that makes agency possible. His biggest mistake, anthropomorphizing AI, pinning goals and closed loop onto it. That's like saying the forest should understand the woodcutter's needs and proactively hand him branches. Absurd. AI does not need to understand goals. Goals are human calling, assigned by humans themselves. AI's value is not to be a clever slave, but to make the paths to your calling more diverse and more unpredictable. Just like in a bountiful forest, you never know what you'll encounter. Second cut, intelligence leverage? You are still in a bureaucratic coffin. He says the center of competition shifts from output per capita to intelligence leverage per unit of human labor. Translation, output per capita equals Taylorism. How many turns each screw makes intelligence leverage equals each screw can, no control, 100 automatic wrenches. The essence hasn't changed. Humans are still screws, just super screws. My framework is completely different. Future organizations won't care about output or leverage at all. What they will care about is, has the human found their calling, and does the field make that calling resonate? Do you see? His leverage is quantifiable. 1 person equals the output of 10, but calling is not truly quantifiable. 1 person who has found their calling is greater than 100 super screws. What is calling? It's not KPIs, not OKRs, not management by objectives. It's when you're wandering in the forest and suddenly a certain direction makes your heart race. It's that feeling of, I don't know why I have to do this, but I must. Double quotes. I as infrastructure, its sacredness lies in this. It doesn't ask your goals. It doesn't audit your output. It simply makes every possibility attainable. You can hunt, farm, daydream, get lost on it. It holds all of it. Third cut, stop restructuring organizations. You're not renovating a house. He says, organizational form is restructured from a process-centric structure into an intelligent system of deep human-AI collaboration. Translation, turn the bureaucratic pyramid into a neural network with AI at the center. But my perspective is, an organization is not a structure, it's a field. His perspective, organization is a system, mechanical metaphor, needs design and restructuring, human-AI collaboration. My perspective, organization is a field, ecological metaphor, needs cultivation and fermentation. Humans are directors, AI is the stage. His fatal flaw. He still thinks of organizations in engineering terms as if an organization is a machine and AI is an upgraded part. You say human-AI co-creation is the most important invention of the intelligent age. No, the field itself is the invention. AI just makes the cultivation of fields cheaper and richer in possibilities. Just like the spread of electricity infrastructure wasn't about human electricity collaboration, it was about making countless new lives possible. Fourth cut, the most absurd term, closed-loop execution. He says AI participates in closed-loop execution. The term closed loop gives everything away. It's cybernetic thinking, the dregs of the industrial age. My framework, there is no closed loop in the future, only open games. Comparison. His organization, input, AI breakdown, execution, output, feedback, optimization, closed loop. My organization, human wanders in the forest, finds a strange fruit, tries eating or planting it, raises new questions, keeps wondering. Key differences. Closed loop pursues certainty, efficiency, control. The forest embraces uncertainty, emergence, loss of control. If AI truly understood goals and executed closed loops, then humanity would be dead because goals themselves are redefined through exploration. Calling is not clear at the start, it's discovered when you get lost in the forest. The greatness of Psi as infrastructure lies precisely in this. It does not close the loop, it remains forever open. Interlude: what level is my theory really? By now you might think I'm being rather arrogant, so I won't dodge the question. I was recently talking to a friend, and I said, I feel my understanding has come close to the truth, its foundation level, like Newton's laws or Einstein's relativity. My friend asked back, what makes you so sure? I thought about it for a long time, and finally adjusted my position. I am not Copernicus. Copernicus proposed heliocentrism, but his mathematical form was incomplete, and his predictive accuracy was no better than Ptolemy's system. He won mostly on philosophical or aesthetic grounds, but my state feels more like Einstein in 1905. Special relativity was already written. The basic principles were clear: constancy of light speed, relativity principle. It could explain problems old theories couldn't, and it made testable predictions. But the field equations of general relativity were not yet finished. It would take another decade to turn it into a complete mathematical form, and then 4 more years for experimental validation. So where my theory stands now can explain why mainstream human-AI collaboration discourse feels like old wine in a new bottle. Has internal logical coherence. Calling versus efficiency, field versus structure, forest versus tool, has made a direction for testable predictions. Successful future organizations will no longer care about leverage, but about the conditions for calling to emerge. Has no mathematical form or operationalizable metrics, yet how to measure calling intensity. What are the concrete actions of a field director? Has not yet made a specific, quantitative, falsifiable prediction. So I am Einstein in 1905. That is neither modesty nor arrogance. It is a precise self-positioning. One more cut. What does this theory have to do with communism? Someone might ask, what does your framework have to do with communism? I'll be direct. I believe my theory is what communism truly looks like in the AI age. Several core visions of classical communism. Abolition of alienated labor. The free and all-round development of every person hunting in the morning, fishing in the afternoon, criticizing after dinner. Labor becoming the first necessity of life, rather than being forced to labor for survival. In the industrial age, these ideals were constrained by the level of productivity, scarcity, division of labor, bureaucracy. They were simply impossible to realize. But AI's infinitely abundant infrastructure makes these ideals technically possible for the first time. My theory is not a rejection of classical communism. It is a Copernican translation for the AI age, shifting the center from humans transforming relations of production through revolution to humans rediscovering their calling within the AI field. Classical communism cared about power and property. I care about ways of being and the production of meaning. If you like, you can call me a heretic of communism or an existential communist. But one thing is certain, if the association of free individuals is ever truly realized, it will not come from a planning committee. It will come from a forest where calling is free to emerge. Rewrite. If I were to rewrite that passage, I would write it like this. The goal of human-AI co-creation is not to trigger a species-level evolution of organizations, because the very concept of organization will dissolve. The fundamental unit of the future is not human-AI collaboration, it is human plus calling. AI is not a collaborator, nor a tool. It is a forest, it is land, it is the water and electricity grid, it is an infrastructure as omnipresent as a God, an infinitely abundant ecosystem with no inherent direction. Humans will no longer be asked, how much did you produce? They will be asked, what calling did you find in the forest? The role of the manager shifts from process designer to field director, not commanding the hunt, but cultivating an atmosphere where calling can emerge. This is not a zero-sum game, nor a positive-sum game. It is a completely different kind of game, humanity. Finally, in the infinite possibilities paved by AI, relearning how to become itself. Ending. One sentence plus one invitation. That author uses the vocabulary of the AI age to tell a story from the industrial age. Leverage equals the cult of efficiency. Closed loop equals the control freak. Collaboration equals refined division of labor. System equals mechanical metaphor. And what I want to say is, when he says intelligence becomes an agent, he is merely manufacturing a clever slave, demoting AI to a worker. When I say AI is a forest, I am saying AI's ontological status is far higher than that. It is infrastructure, as omnipresent as a god, and humans can finally stop being masters and become explorers. This is the true species-level evolution, not an upgrade of organizational form, but a return of the human way of being, from means of production back to creator of meaning. This episode is not meant to dismiss the use of AI in organizations. Instead, I want to ask you one question. If your team or company suddenly stopped measuring any output or leverage tomorrow, and asked only one question, have you found your calling today? What would happen? Feel free to share your imagination. Also, if you find this framework AI is a forest, calling replaces efficiency, field replaces structure convincing, then drop a comment.